What surprised me the most about America? I think it was how friendly everyone was.
These are 5 questions,
Sure.
rapid fire, just to give us an insight into your personality and character a little bit.
Of
Okay,
course.
first question. What surprised you the most about America when you first arrived here?
What surprised me the most about America? I think it was how friendly everyone was.
Hmm,
Yeah, because it's kind of fascinating that in America, like and even I think we're a less friendly society today in some ways than we were in 1980. But even so, like it's very customary for people to just kind of casually smile at each other,
hmm,
and and like even say hello. And I'll tell you if you have a second, I will tell you a
sure.
really funny anecdote about being back in the Soviet Union in 1990.
90, yeah.
So I'm in Moscow and I'm visiting one of my relatives, and I'm in the elevator, and this woman who lives in that building comes in, and I just smile at her and say hello, in Russian because that's what you do in America
Right.
when you find yourself in an elevator with a person, you smile and say hi. And she kind of gives me a weird look and is like, "Do I know you?" Like, "Why are you saying hello to me?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I actually have to explain, like, "I'm from America, where that's how we do things." And
Right.
she really gave me a weird look. So, yeah, but that was something that really struck
Okay,
me as wonderful that,
okay.
people were so friendly. That and I think just the open debate. I mean, I remember
Mm,
because this was, of course, during
right.
1980, the campaign was in full swing, and I remember just reading the papers, like, "Wow, this is amazing." So, yeah. Yeah, that
Okay,
yeah.
good. I was gonna say, you probably felt in Russia the way I feel as a New Yorker when I go to Kansas. Like, why are these people smiling and saying how and asking me how my day is?
Yeah,
Drives me
yeah.
crazy. All right, what's your favorite comfort food?
Oh, my favorite comfort food. My goodness, I hadn't thought of that, but I have several. I love, tapioca pudding,
Okay,
you know?
that I have to admit, no one's ever mentioned tapioca pudding,
Okay,
but if
I'm gonna be unique and just stop with that. I have
fair
others,
enough.
but
Okay, but tapioca pudding is an interesting one. Okay, if you weren't a writer, what would you be doing today?
if I weren't a writer, what would I be doing today? Seriously considered, going into academia, so,
Mm,
I might have been an academic, which of course has all sorts of issues with political conformity, but I have kind of guessed what, over the course of my career a couple of times, and I really did enjoy that, so I think
but a
that might
teacher.
have been a good career, who knows?
Yeah, definitely. Um, what do you feel is more damaging to individual liberty? The openly authoritarian state or the aggressive nanny state?
That is a really great question. I think all in all, and I can see how, the aggressive nanny state can be in some ways more insidious because it's outwardly benevolent. But even so, I mean, for all the problems associated with social pressures, um, the the uh, the threat of going to prison, if you speak up, I think really is uniquely bad. So
Mm,
in that sense, I think the intimidation is worse. And, I mean, if I had to choose between one or the other,
right.
yeah, I am definitely going with a nanny state.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then the final question: what writer, philosopher, thinker, pick your choice, has influenced you the most?
Oh my goodness, sorry about that. I
That's
had
good.
to,
That's
mute my
good.
phone. Yeah, what writer influenced me the most? There have been so many, um, but I would like if I had to pick one, I would probably this is gonna be unexpected, but I'm gonna pick Voltaire.
Okay,
Uh
Voltaire's fine.
Because, he has this and I do know that he was anti-Semitic, which is unfortunate, but he did live in the 18th century, and all right, we do make some
Right.
allowances for time, but I think he was genuinely committed. I don't know whether he actually said that line about, "I do not agree with you, but I
But
will
I'll
defend
def
to the death
right.
your right to say what you say." But I think that does accurately reflect his commitment to tolerance, and he also had this kind of satirical, skeptical spirit, which
Sure.
is very very congenial to me. So yeah, I would say Voltaire, but there have been many, many others.
Of course, it's always
Yeah.
hard to narrow it down
Yeah.
to one. Voltaire, that was an excellent answer. All right. Ekaterina Young, as I'm bound now to flex my ability in two languages, thank you so much for joining me here.